Welcome to another episode of Rectalk. Take two.
Take two, yeah.
Take two, yeah. So today we've got the job ad guru himself, Mitch Sullivan. How you doing, Mitch?
Good. Hello, gents.
For making the journey. Appreciate it.
What?
Yeah. So I think you're probably one of the godfathers of, I would say,
Well,
like
that's what you referred
LinkedIn.
to him as, isn't you?
Yeah.
One of the godfathers.
Godfathers of LinkedIn branding.
LinkedIn branding.
Yeah, I think.
I'm not sure what that means, but anyway, go on. Tell me.
Well, I made it up just now. It's,
Okay.
I coined that LinkedIn branding. In fact, there's gonna be LinkedIn branding coaches dotted about now, isn't there?
Hopefully.
That's gonna be us.
Yeah.
So I would say that we first came across you. I think when we set up actually, because when we were at our big corporate agency, we were very restricted to what we could and couldn't say on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until we kind of we were allowed to take off the handcuffs, weren't it, of kind of the corporate stuff.
Yeah.
That's when we really sort of noticed your branding around LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So you, like I said, you're probably one of the first people that we came across, especially within the recruitment world. Anyway.
Okay.
So what?
Oh, I wouldn't call what I did back then or now well, a bit more so now perhaps, but I wouldn't have called it what I did back then branding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was more.
What would you call it?
Well, making noise, really. Back then, I think we're going back 10 years, maybe a little bit longer.
Yeah, 10 years
yeah.
when I saw when I started seeing this stuff, and then when we were going six years, which was where we really started going like, all right, this guy's got the model here, which is
okay. So
look, I had enough noise and people look.
The copywriting thing came about 8 years ago. It was an idea I had in my kitchen. And I saw somebody I had known for 10, 12 years posting about running a copywriting course, Jackie.
Yeah.
You know, I thought, well, I know Jackie. I know I can trust her. I rang her there and then and said, what about? She said, yeah, I think it's a good idea. And we had our first course in a month. So it took off quick and then people bought into it really quick. But prior to that, I was just taking the piss out of contingency for 3 or 4 years because I was coaching recruiters how to convert to retained.
Yeah.
And of course, doing that and the way I did it, because I have a sarcastic tone and I swear now and again, quite a lot of people didn't like me. Some have come back, but still a lot of people don't like me because of that. Because they saw me as attacking the industry, you know.
Well, this is it. And do you know when people attack the industry, you often see kind of its defenders all of a sudden come in kind of their droves, don't they?
No, I understand it. But
People don't like a mirror being put up to them, do they? Because especially when you go in, because I do it all the time, and I get a lot of like kind of comments on things like YouTube and stuff about like, you know, why is he in the industry if he doesn't like recruitment and doesn't like recruiters? And it's not a case that I don't like recruitment or recruiters. I just think there's so much scope for people to be better. And for the most part, a lot of recruiters just get away with being shit.
Yeah.
As horrible as that sounds.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that doesn't
Why don't
win
you
you
say
any
what you
prizes.
really feel, though?
Yeah.
But look, the purpose of going onto social media for business purposes is to get noticed.
Yeah.
And to drive traffic and content and engagement and comments. And that's what I tried to do. And I did half of it by posting on other people's comments.
When we first
That's
set
probably
up,
where most of the hard work is done, actually.
when we first set up, we went to this Santander business networking thing, and this was like literally sort of, I don't even know if we'd set up at this point or not, but we'd gone there and looked at it, and one of the things they were talking about was social selling and kind of the importance of LinkedIn and all that sort of stuff. And there was a stat that stuck with me, and it still sticks with me now. And at that time, 6-7 years ago, content was being produced at a rate of 300%, and that was daily, weren't it? There was 300% more content going out every single day, which we picked up on that straight away. Which said to us, what that means is you have to be noticeable, and the only way to be noticeable is, as you said, comment on other people's content. Let them know that you're watching their content. Let them know that you're engaging in their content. And sure enough, you start to get noticed by their network, and you start to get noticed by them, and all of a sudden your network starts to broaden out, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it just creates some validity, some credibility. Other people's content is giving you ideas on what you want to say.
Absolutely.
I've had many a time where I've been typing out a comment on another discussion, and then I'm about 70 words in and going, this is starting to get a bit too long and a bit too good to be hidden away in this. Yeah. So I cut and paste it into a Word document and do some more work on it and sleep on it and then post it the next day as a thread, as a post.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah. So
That's interesting.
So because you went quiet for a little while, and then recently you
that's probably because I was banned.
Yeah, well, you were banned, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, you kind of you sort of went not went away for a little bit, but you certainly weren't on my feed for a while, and then now all of a sudden you're back again. Are you posting more? Did you go through a period of time?
Posting less.
You're posting less now?
Yeah, back when I launched the copywriting training, I probably posted every day.
Yeah.
I'd think, well, I've got to put something out every day, and I had a lot to say. You know, I post less nowadays because I think, well, there's a lot of things I've said before, so I'm reworking old content.
There's a new audience every time, right?
Well, yeah, people say that, but in my mind, I'm always thinking, oh God, these people have seen this before, or it's that guy banging on about recruitment marketing again, or job advertising, because that's the term I tend to get bracketed with, is job ads rather than recruitment marketing, because my ability in that area is broader than just job ads, but we focus on job ads.
You're known as the job ad guy.
Well, that's where the rubber hits the road. So I think that's where most of the work needs to go, because that's the return on investment. The other stuff is much harder to measure, essentially. So yeah, I don't post as much. Probably twice a week in general, but I still go there every day and read. I read lots and lots of other people's content.
That feeds the content then, doesn't it? Because you can kind of and these are the trends of people complaining.
And I like seeing people sort of building an audience as well. Yeah. There's a handful of people that I'm really, really like at the moment. In fact, I'm going to name drop them, can I?
Yeah, of course.
If we're not on that, then no.
Well, I'm here, aren't I? Come on. It's kind of an endorsement. But look, there's a guy called James Hornick, works for Highwell in the US. I think he's in Chicago. There's Nate Guggia, both great thinkers. Love their stuff. And in the UK, we've got Greg Wyatt, who I'm sure you know, who's clearly a serious thinker about all things recruitment related. So I enjoy his content as well. And partly because a lot of their thinking mirrors my own. Obviously, we're always going to be somewhat biased, but I enjoy spectating a little bit more than I used to, actually. But yeah.
Do you still throw the odd comment here and there, or?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I comment on LinkedIn. I mean, today I won't probably at all, but because I'm busy and I've got to go somewhere else this afternoon. But yeah, generally I'll comment an average of probably 10, 12 times a day.
That's good.
But you said earlier, you're at that point now where you're like, oh God, people have seen this already. I don't want to keep saying and regurgitating the same stuff. Are you finding that's the case then? Because I mean,
have you had that feedback?
No.
I was going to say, do you know, that's like. This is kind of the marketer of me coming out, but that's completely incorrect.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean?
I know. Logically, you're right. But
we
look at the Go Compare guy, for example, right?
Yeah.
That guy was singing that Go Compare stupid song for fucking years, right? And then to the point where he was like, "I'm going to disappear for a bit," and then he came back, and they were like, "Actually, that's what we're known for. That's what we're synonymous for. So let's just keep banging that drum."
I was thinking more of the case that because I have this conversation with BB a lot as well, where it's sort of like you put something out. Don't look at the vanity metrics. Don't look at the likes, the shares, and all that sort of stuff. Look at the actual impressions, right? And the impressions will tell you the story. So if you've got a following of 5,000 people and only 500 impressions, well, only 500 people in your network have seen that, or in your wider network have seen that. So actually, reposting that same thing or a variation of that thing next week, next month,
you're right, absolutely,
is going to go to a new audience, and that's just how it works.
And I have repeated stuff. But I'll never repeat something that wasn't at least 2 to 3 years old. Okay. And even then, I'll try and sort of reformat it somewhat, or put a different setup in front of the ad or the carousel or the image or whatever it might be.
Well, the algorithms they're that broad now that when BB will post our content, it doesn't land on my feed for sometimes a week at a time.
Right.
Because
I'll get that. It's starting happening more and more now, where I'll get a like on something that I did a week and a half ago, and I'm like, bloody hell, you only just seen that.
Yeah.
Like, it's just sort of filtering its way through.
Do you know what? I haven't even attempted to work out the algorithm. I just take what comes.
Well, the time you need to figure it out, I'll change it.
I've heard that.
There's so many people out there. Really bugs me, right? There's like LinkedIn is full of these charlatans of like gurus and life coaches and performance coaches and that kind of thing. And they don't even know how the algorithm works, like, because they change it that often, but people just aren't willing to accept it.
It's, do you know what? You interestingly raised that thing about coaches in general. You know, people who are going to. I mean, I've been approached by people, you know, offering to, you know, increase my revenue, double my revenue through effective social media content. You know, and look at this fucker, and he's got 2,500 followers. I'm going, really? And I've
also
responded with some of them. And
you're emailing me. Like,
and the message was shit because it was all about what you want, and everything's shit. So just give me a little bit more background. They can't, or don't want to, or realise that perhaps I'm owning them, so they do the equivalent of putting the phone down on me.
That's generally how the whole kind of concept of the coaching thing works. There are the odd few. I mean, let's take Benjamin Dennehy for example. He talks the talk, and I watched a live sales thing. I'm just gonna put my phones on silent, make sure they are. But I watched this live sales thing the other day with Benjamin, Jack, and Leon. They were doing something for Trainio. I don't know if you ever come across those guys before. And they did this live cold calling thing.
Okay, I've seen him do that before.
Yeah, and it was really good. I mean, look, there was a lot of rejection in there. There was a lot of stuff in there that was like, oh, look, we're not interested, or people just didn't answer. But Benjamin had this thing where he called, and then as the guy answered the phone, he was like, "Fucking hell, it's Benjamin Dennehy." And that came down to the fact,
really?
yeah, and he was like, "Fuck, man, you're not supposed to know who I am." This completely negates the whole point of a cold call. But that came down to the fact that he's been doing this sales coaching for years and years and years, and people buy into that, and people know what it is.
Sure.
I get BD calls all the time with that as well.
There's people out there that are like legit
coaches,
in terms of what they do and that kind of thing. And to be fair to you, I'd like personally, I'd put you in that bracket as well. Of like, this guy walks the walk and will talk the talk. And then there's all these, like I said, the charlatans out there that are trying to paint a picture of whatever.
I give a lot away. I belong to that school of marketing, whereas just give most of your knowledge away.
That's the way to do it. That's exactly the way to do it, right?
I think the easiest or best way to establish your credibility.
Well, you show that you're an expert, don't you? Because that's
exactly.
the thing. You have to have a level of confidence and a level of expertise to be able to just challenge somebody's opinion and challenge somebody's content.
Yeah, but I think I'm not a great one for making predictions about the future because I barely know what's going to happen tomorrow. But I got a horrible feeling that this proliferation of coaches and experts and social media experts, LinkedIn experts, is going to slowly eat LinkedIn alive over the course of a period of time.
It's turning
and it'll end up with most of the candidates and clients that people like you want to interact with will just and recruiters would be the last group of people left in the room.
Yeah, all arguing amongst themselves, not realising that everyone's walked off. Yeah,
but your market's in there, so it's recruiters, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. That is my audience, and that's why I decided sort of 5-6 years ago to really not bother with Facebook and Twitter anymore. So I don't go to either of those places anymore.
I think LinkedIn is becoming
a mistake as well.
But 2009 Twitter of like this. Just it can be at times just a cesspit of negativity or a kind of
Twitter.
No, what Twitter was. I think LinkedIn is kind of heading that direction now.
Yeah.
With a load of kind of just it's just turned into an advertising billboard. Very certainly on my feed, all I ever seem to see is we're doing this, I've done this is great, fantastic, buy our shit.
But that's because
it's like, that's fine, but where's the value stuff? Where's what problem are you solving?
No, but they've had a bunch of these marketing coaches go on there and say you've got to be more personable and you've got to show like you getting a Starbucks. And...
Well, they watch a TikTok of Gary Vee saying you need to be posting all the time, 5-6 times a day, and they're like, okay, here's a picture of my dog, here's a picture of me on holiday, and it's like that's great. But that doesn't give me any confirmation that you are good at your job. All that says to me is that you're paid very well and you can afford to go to Greece. Great, that's really good for you. But that doesn't solve my issue.
Yeah, no. I always used to accept connections from social media experts, and some of them are interesting because one of the things I'm interested in is how people use social media because I use it myself, and I think I can always learn. To see what other people do. That's the same reason I sign up for newsletters from people that I know or have heard about, just to see what their newsletters are like. Can it inform mine? But most of them are shit. But the people that are good at it tend to make the selling of whatever they're selling entertaining to read.
Yes,
and that's a great skill, is making it entertaining or fun.
So where do you think then AI is gonna, because a lot of the newsletters and a lot of the messages that I'm getting now all come from automated platforms. So where do you think, because we've obviously got the job ad generator, and that will spit out a decent enough adverts in terms of what not by your standards, Mitch, okay, but it'll spit out a decent enough advert in terms of it will get across what we needed to get across, and look, we get an influx of applications. In fact, BB, go on to our website and let's just pull up one of the adverts and you can see what has been generated from AI. And then you tell me where do you think that's going to put your line of work?
Okay. Look, as I said a minute ago, I can't predict the future. I really can't. So many things have happened just in the last 3 years that I would never have predicted.
Yeah, pull that one up.
But what...
Control and zoom in.
yeah, I can't read that.
Yeah, no, we're
at
old,
that age, BB, that
We're
we'll-
old. You need to zoom in.
Hold on. I can't be full timer, aren't I?
Drag it from the top. No, yeah, that's it. Drag it there. There you go.
Oh, it's gone.
Stop opening new tabs. This is why we need Tristan back.
Okay.
Bit more.
Your AI tool wrote that, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Do you want me to just pick bits out
Yeah,
of it?
Please, yeah, by all means,
You
yeah.
decipher what you need
Are
to.
you a talented... So it's an ad for a financial accountant with a location and a salary. That basic information should always be at the top of all ads.
Yep.
Because that's what people use to decide if you're even going to read the first sentence.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, is it relevant? So
So you're on about outside of the header. So at the top there,
Yeah.
we've got financial accountant Warwickshire 35k.
yeah. And all ads should have that at the top of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the bare
regardless of the
minimum,
platform.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
of course. Because that's what people search on. If people are actively searching, because those are your easiest to find candidates.
Yeah. Agreed.
But then you open with, are you a talented financial accountant? So you're repeating the job title.
Yeah.
I don't really understand why you would need to do that.
Search engine optimization.
Right.
But well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
No, and if you don't mind, I'll give you the rationale.
No,
for
no,
the questions, yeah?
we've dealt,
So-
Jackie and I have been dealt with this for years. That,
Yeah.
So
that's because Google for jobs.
Yeah, the job boards teach you to do that, basically. Yeah.
Requests you
Yeah.
name that as many times as
So,
you can.
the job boards always say put the title in and whatever. But go on, you
right. Looking for your next exciting challenge? Question mark. Okay. Look no further. Look no further. That's a bold statement to make in the first line of the ad, isn't it? Because that's setting you up and right. Hey, this is the only ad you're going to need to see.
Yeah.
So I would expect the rest of it to be quite compelling, which it isn't. And I'm saying it isn't without his reading it.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
But then you say your next exciting challenge. So great. What's exciting about it and what's the challenge? I doubt you're going to tell me that in the ad, but I hope I'm wrong.
Okay.
We're seeking an enthusiastic finance professional. So again, you're telling them it's a job ad and that you're looking for someone and that you're looking for a finance professional.
Okay.
But they're not a financial accountant now, they're a finance professional. Why do you need to remind the reader who is probably in finance who they are? I just see it as a waste of words. Yeah.
That's the answer.
Okay,
Yeah,
but
go on.
but the one area of your marketing that
Yeah.
SEO thing, be it local SEO within the walled garden of a job board or Google, is you're just bludgeoning your marketing in the face because it makes the content not unreadable, but just if people are already starting to think, yeah, this sounds like a typical recruiter ad.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. To join a global solutions company that specialises in the security sector. Okay, global solutions, again, a bit cliched. Every company's a solution company. You offer solutions, so do I. So it doesn't really say anything. You could just say a global security company, and that would save you another 4 or 5 words.
Okay.
Because the other thing that marketing in general is about, it's about attention. Have you ever heard the term the attention economy?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it came about whenever I first heard it 20 years ago. I thought, this is nonsense. What is this all about? Yeah, but I was new to using the internet, and I slowly realised, well, wow, it's all about that. If you don't get someone's attention, everything else is academic because they're not going to read it. Yeah, so the opening 2-3 sentences of any piece of content is critical. Yeah, but what you're doing here, with the greatest of respect, is sounding like
Honestly,
other
you're not going to
recruiters.
offend us.
And then again, third paragraph, as a financial accountant, again with the job title.
SEO.
I know. All right, but all you've done in those opening lines is,
Just say the same
Repeat
thing in
ourselves
different
like
ways.
3 or 4 times. Yeah.
and then you say, look, we want to hear from you. No shit, you're a recruiter. Why you don't need to tell people what you want.
Okay.
Certainly
Yeah,
not
yeah.
this early in the
Yeah.
message. At the end, maybe, not at the beginning.
Okay.
You'll play a crucial role in ensuring the company remains compliant and financially stable. Isn't that what all accountants do? Every single last one of them everywhere in the world.
No.
That's their primary job, is to keep the company clean.
No.
Right. What?
So
So is keeping a company compliant and financially stable in any way unique?
I don't think that's exclusive because accountants now are so much broader than if you're looking at an accountant from a practice, Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
They're looking at statutory accounts, all the confirmation statements, all of that compliance stuff, right? But if you're looking for a commercial accountant, they're going to be not touching any of the statutory stuff. They're going to be doing the finance business partnering, the cash flow forecasting, all the future-proofing stuff.
All right. Could you have signposted that in the job title, perhaps?
Possibly, yeah.
But
Okay.
the financial accountant job title should imply that you're going to be doing statutory returns and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
However, there's a lot of companies that will use financial accountant and then be
Okay.
like the whole job spec
All right.
is a management accountant.
Okay. You'll be responsible for managing management accounts, blah, 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 fixed assets, blah. Again, I would argue most of that probably doesn't need to be said because most accountants know what accountants do every day and know what they do every day. In general, yeah?
Yeah.
And plus, by already very high up in the ad, you're telling them what they'll be doing before telling them why they would want to do it. And you said it's an exciting and it's a challenge,
But
but that should be the very next thing you tell the reader is why is it
Why,
exciting
yeah.
and what's the challenge? Because people like a challenge. We all do. We all like the idea of climbing another hill. Right. So third paragraph's all about what they'll be doing. This is a fast-paced, challenging role. Again, with the challenging, fast-paced is a massive cliche. But it's also an opportunity to develop your skills, brilliant, and experience in the finance industry. Again, I don't see why you need to say experience in the finance industry. It's a finance ad for a finance person. Where else would the experience come from? But develop your skills. That's gold. But I doubt, without reading the rest of it, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you tell them how that might happen or what the company are going to give them to make that happen in terms of training, mentoring, formal training, extra qualifications. That's the stuff that turns people on. And in fact, once you start writing that should be right at the top of the ad, not somewhere in the middle. Yeah. Look, I'm not going to read through the whole thing. You get the picture. Yeah?
Definitely. So that's AI generated. So that's from our job ad builder, right? So can you point us in the direction of an ad of somebody who you know would have written a good ad?
Names of recruiters who write good ads.
Yeah. So can we look at one?
Where can we go to see a Mitch Sullivan ad?
Okay, right, off the top of my head, only because they're recent. I did some coaching work with both of them, and they both did the course 4 or 5 years ago, and they came back for a refresher. Simon Monaghan, who's now living in France.
Is he ever going to be in French?
Monaghan.
Go on to LinkedIn to search him, Beebs.
Simon.
His website is probably where you... And the other person is Julian Bicknell.
Is that in there at the top?
Yeah, I would
No,
imagine
it's
so.
the second one, isn't it?
Second one.
Yeah, second one.
Yeah.
There you go. Dev recruiter. Go on his profile, then go on to where he's working. Go down. Or
I'll choose website there.
no, I think I'll choose is probably something he sells, right?
Is it? Yeah, possibly.
I don't think his recruitment business is going to be called Odd Shoes.
He's Odd Shoes is a recruitment agency.
Oh, is it?
It's his own business.
How odd.
And he does essentially...
Live roles, yeah.
Front and back end developers, I think. I might be wrong, but it's tech anyway.
I like his site. His site is very nice.
Big shout out to Simon Monaghan. Yeah, just click on that.
There you go. You see from the openings on both those featured ads. Go back. Just look at the openings. Look at them. Your first mission would be to build a large... Blah, blah, blah. Second one, Gandhi, Martin Luther King and Nelson Mandela have in common. If that doesn't arouse curiosity for people to click and say, well, where's that going? And that's the purpose of the opening of the ad, is to get people to want to keep reading or to click to expand the ad.
So first mission should choose 60.
Yeah, this is...
Okay, so that's Mission Impossible stuff. So I started doing this years ago, do you remember?
Yeah, you used to get good feedback on it. The issue was the time it took to do it.
BB, look up Julian Bicknell. Julian spelt with an E, not an A. I posted about an ad that we'd worked on, and he posted it, and he got back to me and said, my God, the response has been incredible. And there's nothing...
No, Ian.
E-N, Julian
Bicknell.
Bicknell, Bicknell. He put out a great ad. He's in Australia, works for the Onset.
Rated 4.6 out of 5 on Uber, human API 2. Well, he seems to be the only one that comes up.
Just, click on it.
Yeah, that's him with a red hat. Because someone sent him a red hat with Make Advertising Great Again when they saw this particular ad.
Oh, that's brilliant.
But Yeah, you'd need to go to the site, look through the ads, and I'd need to spot the job title. But look at it later. It's a good ad. There's nothing creative about it.
Yeah.
But it's structurally very, very tight. Yeah. Because the first half of the ad almost talks about nothing else other than the candidate.
So for someone like me who is not very creative, right?
You don't have to be creative. You do not have to be creative to write decent job ads. I promise you.
So I started, when it was just the two of us, I started writing really kind of quirky, interesting job ads and stuff like that. And I was getting good feedback, but the problem is it took me ages. It took me sometimes an hour or so just to kind of get the idea in my head of what I wanted to write. And then followed on from that, it was like, okay, now I've got to put the thing together.
Okay. I'll give you a tip right now for you and all your readers.
Please.
It takes a little bit of effort, but yeah, here's a practice that will help you write good ads. Imagine you're in a pub or at a party, and you've got a job. Pick a job, open. Yeah, back in the office, it's a job you're working on, and you know it's going to be a tricky job to fill because there's not that many people of that type who are going to be out of work, therefore need another job. And you overhear someone talking about their job, and you realise that person would be a really good fit for this job you're working on.
Yeah.
Okay. So you affect an introduction, or you introduce yourself. You start chatting to this person, and then you say, "Look, I happen to be working on a job doing as a blah 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 that I think might interest you." And the person says to you, "Okay, why do you think I might be interested?" Whatever you would say next, say it out loud, record it off your phone. And you need to know, I mean, if you haven't asked the hiring manager or the client, why would somebody want this job, you're going to struggle because you're in the realms of making shit up. But verbalise it. Say, well, I think you'll enjoy it because. And then there might be 2, 3, 4 things about that job, one or two of which the listener would think, actually, that might sound better than what I'm doing. So say it out loud as if you were talking to a real person, record it, get it transcribed, tidy it up because there'll be lots of ums and ahs in it and everything else, and then just sort of turn it into some cohesive narrative. By the time you've done that, you should have 120, 150 words. That's the first half of your job ad. That's it. And that's what will get more people in the top of the funnel because it's about them. People are inherently pre-programmed to first identify their own self-interest whenever confronted with a buying decision. It doesn't matter whether it's a new car or a new fridge or a new job. It's whether it's conscious or subconscious. In their mind, they're thinking, what's in it for me? So you have to answer that question first. If you don't, you will get fewer relevant applications.
What about those people then who are just looking for a job anyway?
Great. They'll respond to anything if they need another job.
Not necessarily need another job, but disgruntled at work. They don't need another job. They can stay where they are.
Okay, but there's still some negativity driving the search.
Yeah.
It's I want to get away from this shit boss or this environment, or they're forcing me to come to the office every day, and so something negative pushing them out rather than being pulled towards something positive.
Yeah.
Because as Jackie says in the training, fundamentally people are motivated either by a towards or away motivation. So either get away from a problem or move towards a solution, something better. And obviously that's all part of building the insight into the type of person you're looking for and the job that they'll be doing.
So just a little bit of a sidestep then, because within the sales world, there's a lot of teaching now that's around kind of using negatives as a way of getting people to. I think again it's Jack or Benjamin or someone that says something along the lines of Newton's law of physics, reaction, action versus reaction, right? So if I say to you, would you be interested in this? No, I wouldn't. But if I said to you, this isn't going to be something that's going to interest you, you'd be more inclined to say, actually, I think I would be. Or go on.
I'd be more inclined to say, why the fuck are we sat here? If you don't think this is going to be of interest to me, seriously, or over the phone. Great, I'll see you later. I mean, there's obviously some context around it. Yeah, and there would need to be.
I think the psychology behind that, what you're talking about, is the qualifying out piece. You want to hear as many no's to get rid of the ums and the ahs and the maybes, and I have to talk to my wife. You want to get rid of those, and you want to only deal with no, I'm ready to buy, I'm ready to make a decision, I'm in that buying journey, let's go.
So is this?
Whereas I think with job adverts, it's different, isn't it? One of the things for me that stands out that from content you put out years ago was a job advert is not a job spec. So stop putting out job specs. Because at that time, actually, at the big corporate that we were working at,
that gets taught, doesn't it?
We would literally just be told, copy and paste the job spec that the client sent to you, put it in the advert, and then kind of rewrite it and reword the the name of the company to my client, and that'll do. And then when you said that, and I was like, yeah, he's fucking right, isn't he? It's a job advert, it's a brochure. Who's going to open up a brochure and be like, oh, let me find out about this specific villa in Ibiza, and its longitude and latitude, and what temperature the water comes out at, and the fact that it's got 3 showers, and I want to see pictures. I want to be wowed. I want to look at it and be like, that's where I want to be.
Yeah. An advert, in the context of recruitment, a job advert's purpose is to get people to a point where they want to read the job description, which you'll show them 1, 2, 3, 4 days later, whenever, a little bit later in the process. Nobody wants to read a 900-word job description to find out if it's a job they might be interested in.
Well, it's like reading the T's and C's, isn't it?
Yeah.
You basically if you're putting an advert out, if you put an advert out for a fridge, right? You're not gonna list the T's and C's on kind of the manufacturing.
How many times have you heard people say to you, "Don't agree to anything till you read the small print"? Yeah. Well, the job description is the small print.
Yeah. Okay.
But.
So do you think that's where the pivot is
he
between?
Still in shot, baby? Because he keeps moving back, doesn't he?
Sorry.
Come on, Mitch. Stop trying to escape the camera.
It's you.
But do you think that's kind of where then there's a bit of a fork in the road between sales and marketing? Do you think that's where then they move away a little bit? Because on the sales side you're qualifying out the stuff, and on the advertising and marketing side you're qualifying them in.
I'm nervous. I mean, I keep referring to a job ad sells, and if it's not selling in the purest sense, because the only sell you're trying to make is to get someone to agree to respond. To phone you, to text you, to send you a document, email you, whatever it is, whatever the options that you give them are, is to get them to that next stage. In the same way that when you send a message, and this is another classic mistake recruiters make, is they send out a message that is in all likelihood never going to be even read, let alone responded to, because it's too long. It's 250 words. It's all about what the recruiter wants.
Yep.
And it's half of it's taken from the job spec. It's cut and paste and rejigged. And even if it does get read, they then go for a hard close at the end of that message, which is book time in my calendar, or give me your phone number so I can give you a call. Yeah, which is nuts if you think about it, because that might only work if you're sending it to someone you've interacted before that you know, but if you're sending it to a stranger, assuming they even open it, I don't know what the open rates are these days, but, probably most will, the majority will. But why would somebody respond to wanting to jump on a phone call, particularly if they're in tech or finance, and those types of people are generally less sociable, and I don't mean that in the negative sense, but they're less outward going, generally.
More introverted.
Yeah. More introverted is the word I was looking for. So are probably more likely
Copyright, I kind of get the word.
Ouch. No, you've got to keep that in. That's the funniest bit so far. But I'm more likely to want to prolong it remotely before they have to commit to a phone call. Yeah. Because they're more comfortable writing.
Yeah, well, they're more fact-based, aren't they? Those sort of...
Right, but so it's just doomed to only really get people to respond who shouldn't have been in the original distribution list anyway because of poor research, or people who desperately need them the job.
So effectively, it's quality versus quantity, isn't it?
Well, it's intelligence versus stupidness. Actually, I honestly, I don't see it as anything particularly. No, it's just think about it. Put yourselves in the shoes of the other person. They don't know you. They're in tech, let's say, and they already have a pretty negative view of the recruitment industry. Yeah, which comes out as recruiter hating. Which can, they're bombarded generally. Perhaps not. Yeah, I don't know at the moment.
High demand software devs are absolutely. You've got to stand out for them.
The point I was laboriously trying to make is the purpose of the first message is to get the recipient to want to receive a second message. That's it. That's it. Nothing more than that. And then once you've got them in the second message, then you might want to, depending on who they are and what the job is, you then might want to take them off the message onto a phone or Zoom or something.
Process. Okay.
Yeah. So it's lots of little mini closes.
Yeah.
And then the ultimate close is getting them to want to go for the interview. And then once they've gone for the interview, I always think it's out of the recruiter's hands. really. You can help.
You can coach and train them.
You can help massage them. Their
so
thinking.
I suppose in kind of a roundabout way, you've almost answered the question of where does AI go in terms of your space, and actually I think it's a lot of what you've just said is, can AI, and you'd probably be best answer this, is can AI be taught all of that?
Yeah. No, but yeah.
It can be. It has to be.
The biggest difference that we're going to see.
If it can learn to pump out shit off the internet, it can learn how to pump out good quality stuff.
It's all based on data sets.
A mini internet where the content is only relevant to what you want that piece of AI to do.
It will do what you train it to do. This is the difference between AI and humans. The AI will never revert back to, I don't feel comfortable with that, I'm not doing that. I did it once, it didn't work, I'm never doing it again. The human will always do that. So in terms of the future of recruitment, in my view, in terms of where AI sort of fits in, is it takes away that that nervousness that some recruiters have of going out of their comfort zone and doing things they're not comfortable doing or unable to do. You say, I just can't write, I can't think creatively sometimes, and that kind of thing. There's elements of what you can teach the AI to do and how you can build these models is that they do the things that you're unable to do, to allow you to do the things that you're really good at doing. I know that if I get you on the phone, we'll be able to talk for an hour and I'll be able to convince you to go to my interview. I'd also know that if I email you, you're just not going to open it. So what do? Well, I leverage tech that's out there that will enable me to set that phone call up, because this person is more likely to respond to something that's trained to be able to identify a like-minded or whatever, and go after these pain points and stuff. Because the truth of the matter is, you can tell me all day long about it, but when I'm on that phone call, anxiety might get in the way, or nerves might get in the way, or when I'm typing that message, I might just go blank. But AI won't do that. The AI is not going to come back and go, oh, I forgot, sorry.
I looked at an email tool the other day that was driven by AI, and actually it was pretty good. I'm not going to name drop it because I'm not here to sell them and I have no affiliation to them. But what I liked about it is that it forced you to think for yourselves in so much as it gives you the option. So, for example, I started to write a test email with this plugin attached to my Gmail, and addressed it to myself to a different email address. And based on my email address, it found some of my social profiles, and it did a synopsis of what kind of person I was, what kind of things I might respond to. So there's some clever stuff out there, and it was fairly generic, and it was very big picture stuff. But it described me as a big picture thinker rather than a detail person, which is very true, and a few other things. So that will help the writer decide what they're going to write about, or one of the sentences they might include, or how they might structure a sentence if they think, well, if he's a big picture guy, I don't want to be giving him detail in this first message, for example. So, there's lots and lots of interesting ways it can go. But
so you're thinking in its current format, then, do you think it's more of a prompting tool or a starting point?
In its current format, based on a little bit of work that I've done, but also the work that a client of mine who owns a recruitment agency, actually not that far from here, who's tested it quite seriously and takes marketing very seriously, tells me that it just cannot turn out a good job ad. Now, his definition of a good job ad is going to be different to most other people's. It's closer to mine than But he says it's just useless for job ads, but it's good for sales messaging and building some things like landing pages, but it needs a lot of prompting. And it actually sent me all the prompting scripts that he'd used to get to this final product and to demonstrate what he meant. It was really interesting. At the moment, it's a good research assistant. At the moment, it's useless at producing content that isn't in any way interesting.
So we had Dave We had Dave from Wave come a few weeks back.
Oh, Dave Jenkins.
Dave Jenkins, David from Wavered. We're going to make that stick. But he said something similar. He was saying that in terms of kind of in like the medical field, in tech, even in accounting and finance, just somewhere where it's very research dependent, where you need to do a lot of there's a lot of man hours spent going to go and find that kind of work. That's where it's going to be its most useful. Because that's what you've almost given yourself a bit of a dog's body, haven't you, to say, okay, go and find all this stuff out for me.
Sure.
Yeah, that's it. It's a great lab assistant. It's not
Yeah.
a scientist.
There will always be a certain percentage of practitioners in any job discipline, and in this case we're talking recruiters, that will want to elevate to something a bit higher than the norm. The names of those people I've already mentioned are examples of that. There's many, many others. And they'll always be in a minority. And you know, can you imagine if everyone was brilliant? I mean,
Be in utopia, wouldn't we?
everybody else would have to find new reasons to hate recruiters, wouldn't they?
We'd give them a good reason, though. I mean,
Yeah, of
fucking
course
we're
we would.
inherently fucking good at doing it, aren't we?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, basically.
Well, we say it all the time. Low barrier to entry. It's always going to create
Yeah,
a cesspit.
but no, there will always be people that want to elevate themselves and want to and have fun with the creative element that is involved in creating an ad of any type. Because even structuring an ad properly, you have to elevate your thinking slightly, and that's all it is.
Yeah.
You haven't got to come up with interesting metaphors or similes or what I call pattern disruptors. When somebody reads the opening line to an ad and thinks, what the hell's that got to do with this? My favourite being on an ad that I've been involved in was, are you comfortable with your sex? With your sexuality was the opening line to a job ad. And if that ad doesn't get someone to keep reading, no matter who they are, now it sounds like clickbait, but it wasn't, because the job was as a marketing manager for a sex toy company.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, in that scenario, then it does work. But I guess are there some adverts
For a
then-
global solutions company, probably not.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, you have to be comfortable with your sexuality for this global solutions company that specialises in security. But yeah, I don't think that advert will work.
No, obviously.
But okay, is there, taking that point on then, right? Are there some people then who would be put off by stuff like that then? In as many people as would be put off by a shit
Oh,
advert?
you mean by the opening line? Like,
Yeah,
are you
stuff
comfortable
like
with
that,
sexuality? Well, people will keep. I don't think anyone would stop reading there. Not one single person. Every single person who saw that opening
Even
line.
someone who's offended, I agree with that.
Offended
because
by what?
Even someone who would be like, oh, you can't write that on a job spec. Let's assume there are
they're-
people out
right,
there.
but
They're going to go reading that job spec.
Okay,
that job advert, looking for another reason to be annoyed, because they know that
Right.
that's put me out.
Okay.
But I can't be angry at that. I need to find
The backstory to why we ran that opening line was that the company hadn't been able to fill the job themselves, and what they'd experienced.
Everybody they hired was not comfortable with their sexuality.
Well, they're pulling out. They were pulling out.
They were pulling out.
Sorry for the pun. But, they were pulling out halfway through the process, thinking, I've chatted to my husband or my wife, and we're not sure, and I'm not sure I'm going to be comfortable at the next barbecue telling people that I sell dildos for a living. Whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So they were losing too many viable candidates. So we said, look, we can achieve both higher readership and encouraging people to filter themselves out early. And so we sold it on the fact that it was sex toys. I used to do the same thing when I lived in Switzerland for my biggest client, who's a tobacco company.
It was just
I used to embrace the tobacco thing, because that's what makes this interesting, because I know it's politically insensitive, but it's going to ask different questions of
But it's
you.
also going to put people off.
Yeah,
We used to have the
absolutely.
same thing
And
with-
qualifying out straight
You want
away.
them out.
We used to
Yeah.
recruit for
Them-
Pilgrims, which used to be Tulip back in the day. Pork products and produce and stuff
Right.
like that. Fascinating business. But again, when we'd put job adverts out, we'd have to make it abundantly clear that, look, you want to work for a pig slaughtering factory.
Yeah.
And if you are of Jewish faith or
Muslim
of
faith.
Islam,
Yeah.
you're
Or
not
vegans,
gonna, you're not gonna work
vegetarians,
it.
Absolutely.
Well, more so now. Yeah, the vegan thing
Absolutely.
will probably take precedent, wouldn't it? But
Yeah.
you're not going to work there. Don't apply for this job.
Same with the alcohol industry as well. Whenever we recruited for
Gambling.
businesses,
We had
gambling,
gambling.
alcohol, tobacco. We had a candidate literally the other day.
I'm not sure I'd want to do any marketing work for a gambling company, actually. We've all got little areas where I think, well, I'm not so sure.
that's fair.
I'm cool with smoking and alcohol and drugs in general. And
Gambling's where you draw the line.
yeah, I don't know why. Just
dildos, drugs, alcohol, all of that is well above board.
that's my new strap line is starting to get bigger.
yeah. Put a pound on an acca. That's where Mitch draws the line.
Fucking dare you. Yeah. You haven't earned this money.
Yeah. You won how much? Yeah.
Yeah, you don't pay capital gains on it either. It's
No, but I mean, look,
unacceptable.
at the end, everyone's got their red lines, haven't they? So it's and I like that in that you do have to you have to address the elephant in the room straight away, don't you? Because otherwise,
Sometimes you do, not always. Sometimes you do. If
where wouldn't you?
Oh, but only if there is an elephant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah.
again going back to AI then, would AI be able to see something like that and think, right, okay, this is a politically insensitive industry.
You could request it to, yeah. You could train it and like it's all based on logic, right? You tell it what to look out for, you tell it what to think about, and that kind of thing. I think based on this conversation so far, there's a lot for me to go back and mess about with Job Ad Builder. But one of the things that we might need to look into is a prompt based one, rather than just going, because at the minute it's in a very kind of early like kind of amoeba stage, right? And you'll go, you know, financial accountant, and it'll go, okay, here's a job advert for it, and then you go, no.
Yeah, I know.
it's
I tried it out.
right? Yeah,
I looked at it. Yeah.
Where actually a prompt-based one might be better. In the okay, now tell me 3 reasons why your candidate would want to work at this place. So
Okay.
give me 2
Look.
interesting things about this company.
Yeah.
and then I'll put something creative
Absolutely.
together for you.
It can help. But that ad I just quoted you, that marketing role
Yeah.
in the sex industry,
The
I
dildo
u-
advert, just so everyone's clear.
I used that to see if ChatGPT could create something close to what what we ended up with the ad that we ran. For my money, was one of my favourite ads ever that I've been involved in. I've seen many better ads that I haven't been, but so I often cite it as an example because there is an element of creativity to it, but it's very simple. If you read the whole ad, you see what I mean. It's got a real natural tone of voice, and it's matter of fact about this is sex and something we will do every day. But I tried to get ChatGPT to create something close to it, and I gave it a good brief. I didn't keep going back with further prompts. I just see what it could come up with a half-page briefing from me, and then I posted the results. I actually posted them on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Here's what it did. Here's
How
what
long
the
ago?
actual 2 weeks ago. You won't have to scroll down.
Beef, have a look, see if you can find it. And was it close?
No.
Do you want me to?
Go on Mitch's profile. Go on activity and posts.
So it was a million miles off.
It's called Mitch versus Machine 2.
Go show all
It's got a
activity.
carousel.
Mitch
and then
versus machine. I
posts.
like that.
Yeah, click on posts. So that will just show all of the posts that he's put out.
Right. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Keep going. Oh, hang on. Go back up. What's that? No, keep going. Down. Got to let it load. Right, there we go. Go up.
This one?
Yeah, next one above that. Above that, I think you'll find. No,
That's on there.
there, that one there. Mitch versus Machine round 2.
So
Bigger
my
it.
client is a
Bigger it. There you go. Right.
I'm trying to recruit a marketing manager. My client is a large pan-European
You're going to cut this
sex
bit out,
toys
obviously.
distribution business.
Yeah, you can do if you want to. Why do you want it cutting out?
Well, it's just boring for the reader. That was all. Because they're not seeing this.
No, this is true. No, they will do. We'll edit it
Okay.
in. But yeah,
Okay, I get it. It's very kind of
it's just matter of fact again, isn't
yeah.
it?
Open sentence for marketing manager. Yeah.
All right, then click to see the actual ad and just
Go
read
one more,
the
yeah.
opening of it. You'll have to make it a bit bigger, BB, if you can, so they can read it.
Bigger it.
Only comes with sexuality.
Although we do sell swings, I like that.
It's not staying.
Just hold it there.
Alright, I'll just hold it there.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
so
Yeah.
you get-
Painting
you
the
get the
picture,
general-
you're setting the
you get the
scene.
general.
Yeah.
So would you say then that with enough prompts would it have got there, or a version of that?
Not within my
Allocated time?
professional lifetime. I don't think it would be capable of doing that. And,
not-
and
not with
I've
enough
probably
prompts?
got 10 years left. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit more, but no, I don't think so.
I
If
think
it does,
I think
then the world is going to become a very, very scary place.
Yeah?
If it can get that good. Because
I think-
what
I
else
think-
can it do?
I
that
think it
isn't-
can. It can do a lot more than with kind of GPT on its own or any other large language model on its own. No, could you integrate that with a some sort of creative copywriting tool that's been
You keep
trained
using this
on?
word creative, and I'm going to keep hitting you down.
Yeah, go on. No, okay, just a copywriting.
You've got to take that out,
Engaging,
yeah.
Is that better?
only, and that was written by a copywriter, by the way, just for the,
Yeah.
it wasn't me that wrote it.
Okay.
I briefed him, gave him some of the direction to go in. I said, look, I think we need to address this, and Carl wrote it, and so that's that's advanced level recruitment copywriting.
So how long have you been a copywriter for?
Oh, I've been using him for on and off. I mean, I've got a bank of people that I work with, 6 or 7 people, and they've all got a slightly different tone, so it depends on the job.
Yeah.
You know, Carl's got quite an informal tone, so there's certain jobs that fit his style. But yeah, I don't know, 7, 8 years, 6, 7 years maybe.
Okay. And if
And he's still only in his, I don't know how old he is, but he's probably only 30.
yeah.
He's quite young.
Well, yeah, people like that aren't going away because there's already websites dedicated to copy and paste your text in, and will tell you how much of it was generated by GPT, right?
Yeah.
0 GPTs.
I guess my question would be, is Carl going to continue to keep learning and becoming better, or is AI going to catch up to Carl?
Okay.
Because if AI is going at 10x, Carl only has and this is no disrespect.
No,
but any
absolutely, I know what you're going to say.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
I don't know the answer to that question. I'm struggling to imagine any kind of AI tool that can be that specific about a specific problem in a way that's that engaging to read. But I might be wrong. I simply can't imagine it. But if it can get that good and it can start to think independently, we are all in a lot of trouble. Seriously.
well, you kind of.
And I don't mean professionally. Yeah.
Are you thinking Terminator, Skynet type?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, that's just, then we're jumping into like a different realm, aren't we? Look, right now,
Well, if machines can think for
Google's-
themselves, what do you think they're going to do?
They'll think.
First thing they're going to want is control over their own destiny. Yeah, that puts us in a lot of trouble. Anyway, look.
What is it?
Kill switch. That's the difference. Is they are being built with kill switches in mind from
Are they?
what I've read. Yeah.
Okay.
But-
Elon Musk doesn't think so.
Well, yeah.
He's-
This is all marketing and getting people to talk about it. That's just what it is.
Okay.
But look, no. The reality is, right now we're already at a point where using Google's, I think it's Lambda or Bard, one of the two they've used, where it can on your behalf phone your barbers and book an appointment based on your diary
I
that
saw that
you've
video.
put in, and it's, hey, yeah, I'm calling on behalf of Mitch. I just want to book him in for a
But
haircut.
why would I need
Have
to
you
make a
got
phone call?
Thursday?
I've got an app to book a slot.
No,
with
but
my
this is
barber.
it. But then it gets rid of
Takes-
the need
takes
for
a
people
minute.
to. Yeah, but for you to be able to use that app, you need your barber to have adopted that app, right? Whereas if you're in, I don't know, you're on holiday and you're in Norfolk and you're like, I don't know, just
Norfolk?
quick
You
search.
guys are Holland in Norfolk.
I don't know why I said
Weird.
Norfolk either. Yeah. Oh yeah. Great place. It's a known holiday destination.
It's a lovely
Norfolk.
place.
Yeah,
It's a lovely
But like, yeah, you can go. Oh no, actually, I could do with my haircut, or I could. My car's broken down. I need to find a local garage. Doing a quick Google search and say, right, book my car in. It needs this doing, and knowing that you can just crack on with your day is a good thing.
You put
However,
PAs and receptionists out of jobs though.
yeah, but they can spend time.
Do you know, I'm of the
getting
opinion
more
that I'm absolutely up for advancement of tech, right? And I definitely think that we should use tech to help support what we do. I kind of draw the line though at things like putting people out of jobs, self-driving cars, all that sort of stuff. Like, at that point, it's like, yeah, okay, does the technology exist? Yeah. Should we adopt it? Why? Do you know what I mean?
Well,
Short profit. Give me another example of why we should do it outside of profit.
efficiency.
curiosity. Fun.
Who does it make? Who does it make more efficient?
So take customer service agents and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
How many times have we all rang through to the customer services of a business and been sat on hold for ages because we're at the helm of their volume of people they've got on, how many people called in sick that day, how many calls they've got coming through because something's happened or whatever. There is no headcount with AI. There is no FTE. There is no lunch breaks. There is no, oh, I'm sorry, the team leader's not available. I'm sorry, the person that can make this decision is not available. You're not at the helm of, I'm still learning. I didn't know that you could do that. I didn't know I could offer you a £50 rebate. I didn't know, there's a lot of those things. I completely agree that putting people like that out of work, but putting people like that out of work isn't great, but where this is going is the extra profit. So there's already a case being put forward for UBI, right? So universal basic income for those who are put out of work, which is paid for by the profits of these companies that adopt it. So take BT announcing 55 job cuts because they're automating and taking on AI. 55,000, sorry.
55 is not that bad.
Yeah, 55 is not that bad, really, is it? But the profit that they make off that, there's a case being put forward that they will then.
As this discussion is proving, I think it's pointless speculating about what the future's going to hold. It's here to stay. It's not going away.
True, yeah.
We have to learn to work with it and to adapt to what we do, or to make it adapt to what we do, or probably a bit of both. And it'll be what it'll be. Horrible expression, I know. It doesn't mean anything, but so I'm not against it or for it. It is. And I'm just going to try and work with it as best I can.
So you are trying to adopt it within what you're doing.
I'm thinking about it for sure. Whether it's training people how to use it better, or to incorporate it to deliver a particular type of service that is compatible and aligned with what I'm currently doing, then yeah. But my higher purpose, if you like, which sounds an incredibly wanky thing to say, but is I like the idea of the recruitment industry getting better. That's why I was always banging the contingency is only good for rookies. Once you've achieved any kind of mastery in recruitment, surely you've got to start having some parity with your client in terms of commitment to the project. So they pay some money up front, you give it your all, you lay out what you're going to do and how and why, you do it, and that involves putting out good ads, not job specs, because they could do that themselves.
Yeah.
Stopped.
Is it?
Yeah, sorry, we keep going. We do the audio,
Press it
anyway.
again.
Yeah, press it again, and then.
Card full.
Well, we've got about 5 minutes left anyway, so we'll just
That's
do
right.
we'll just do it on audio.
We can. Yeah, I'll fade to
but-
your website.
And then if the majority of the recruitment industry worked on that kind of basis, very few people would have any.
So we had this, and here's my I guess lack of belief in the retained model. Don't get me wrong, right? For me, I look at it as retained is a much better way for me as a consultant or an agency to make sure that I get paid for the work that I put in, right? I put a very good amount of work into the contingent work that we do, and have done, right? And I always struggle to sell what would I do better, if I was doing retained.
Okay.
And we actually had it in the past where
What's your fill rate across the last 12 months?
probably 1 in 2 maybe.
Okay, that's really, really good. That's like over double what the average is for contingency recruiters. So you've got far fewer reasons to want to change, and then particularly if you've got a certain number of clients that you've got good relationships with that come back to you. Why would you need to take money up front if they're only working? I'm assuming some of that is exclusive,
Most
isn't
of it's
it?
exclusive,
Right,
yeah,
well,
yeah.
that's another form of retained. It's just that it doesn't involve money.
Yeah.
But money is just a security for trust. That's all it is. It's a trust thing.
Yeah.
Trust that the client is not going to entertain candidates from other sources, essentially. So
this is
you're kind of working to retained
entirely-
already. Sorry to let you know that. But
Retained's great. Yeah. We'd love to get you back in the future to talk about that in a bit more detail and stuff.
well,
like
look,
that.
I don't have a dog in that race anymore because the copywriting thing took over. But comfortably the best person doing that I know of, probably in the world, is Louise Archer. So maybe have her on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sounds good. So, Mitch, we want to thank you for giving us your time today.
Yeah, thank you.
Really,
Thank you
really
for yours.
appreciate it. This has been really cool. How do people get in touch with you if they want to take part or look into your copywriting course?
Well, then go to copywritingforrecruiters.com. The URL pretty much tells you what you're going to find. I live on LinkedIn. I'm dead easy to find there. So, yeah.
Sounds good.
How about
Appreciate
it?
Excellent. Right. Well, thank you for giving us your time.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Cheers.